Cyberpunk 2077 had lots of ups and downs. Captivating open world, fun combat, memorable characters, and absolutely gut-punching storyline. But also is one of the most botched launches in the last decade, with absolutely ridiculous bugs and tons of never-delivered promises and many game mechanics simply not working at all. At the other hand, the game was gradually patched, fixed and improved bit by bit up to this day, and especially large number of improvements came in with the game version 2.0, but at the same time the game updates still feel like it's 2 steps forward and then 1 step back every time. Developers removed many items and cyberware, or sometimes even gameplay mechanics like certain enemy abilities and traits, breach protocol used on enemies, not to mention new bugs were introduced and many mechanics promised on the release are still not in the game yet, or are still unfinished and working in a very annoying way. But the modding stage did not stay on the same place either, quite the contrary. It has not just expanded in size, but greatly increased the modding capabilities themselves. Brand new weapons and cyberware with unique effects, new badass cars and bikes with custom engines, gearboxes and tuning, brand new perk trees and abilities, expanded enemy abilities, AI and drastically improved boss fights, complete overhauls of nearly every gameplay mechanic you can possibly name, expansions to the Night City life itself, as well as countless immersion bits, hang out with your friends and companions, animated consumables, Reaper services, mods with new quality of life features, interface overhauls, brand new gameplay interactions and minigames, and just so much more, not to mention fixes to most of existing bugs and oversights, as well as graphics and performance improvements for those who need them. This video shows the combination of the most all-covering overhaul for the game with minimal number of mods to exponentially improve the game to the state you'll enjoy it as a all-new once again, fixed, improved and expanded. But even better, it is also a step-by-step tutorial at the same time, providing simple yet detailed installation instructions for every mod, from start to finish. For those who may remember the similar video of mine back from 2021, this one is an updated and improved version of it, compatible with the latest game version and fully covering Phantom Liberty DLC as well, and with recommended mod settings on top for the perfect synergy and balanced modded setup in the end. So if you're excited to pump your Night City experience to a new level, make yourself comfortable and let's get started. The mods for Cyberpunk 2077 should be installed manually. While there are modern mod managers that work fine for other games, due to how many possible different folders there are in Cyberpunk 2077 directory where the mod files can be placed, mod managers in many cases will simply not install mods properly, so they need to be installed manually. Don't worry though, as I will guide you through every step here. First of all, create a new folder somewhere at your PC, just not inside the game folder. Download the mod archives in this folder first to keep them organized. Then unzip the mod archive using any suitable tool you prefer like 7-zip or WinRAR and place the specified mod folder or files into specified game folders, as per instructions in this video. Now we need several core mods, frameworks or libraries that almost do not do anything themselves, but are needed for other mods to work. Mods from CyberAgent tweaks up to Input Loader are providing either scripting extension and functions or assets handling, allowing the existence of mods of a brand new level. Native Settings UI and Mod Settings are add-ons that allow mods that supports them to have their settings configured directly through in-game menus, so you can tailor your gaming experience, be it difficulty or immersion details, exactly up to your own taste. CyberAgent tweaks. At the linked page, click on the latest 1.something.something version name, scroll down a bit and download a zip file that has the same file name. Unzip the archive and from its folder, grab the bin folder and place it to your Cyberpunk 2077 root folder, aka the main folder of your game installation, where the archive, bin, engine and other core folders and files are. If at some point, if you will be following this video during multiple different days for instance, you'll forget what certain directory means, just go to my complete modding guide on the website, link down below in this video description, open the preparation section and you will see all the directories defined there. Red script. click on the manual download button as shown on the image, download the archive and packet and place engine and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Read for ext. Click on the manual download button as shown on the image, download the archive and packet and place bin and read for ext folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Archive XL, same as for the ones before, manually download the shown file and pack the archive and place R6 and read for ext folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. The rest of folders of the rest of mods in this section are also all going into the Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. For the Codeware mod, that's read for ext folder, tweak XL, R6 and read for ext folders. Input loader, engine, R6 and read for ext folders. Native settings UI, bin folder and mod settings, read for ext folder. Now to the mods themselves. You can see timestamps in the video. They mark sections that group a few mods of certain type, and all the mods in this list are fully standalone from each other, so if you will think you do not need something, you can just skip this certain mod. But it is still recommended to install this list altogether for the best possible synergy and fun gameplay. Let's begin from weapons and cyberware, and first of all, mods that improve various mechanics of the original items. Berserk Unchained allows the cyberware to work with ranged weapons as well and makes so it doesn't hide all your interface to avoid combat confusion, as well as prevents VFX stacking, such as when Berserk, for instance, was overlapping with overclock visuals. Optionally, Berserk can now also retain unspent charge upon deactivation. From the mod folder, place the R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Common Sandevistan is a very simple mod that greatly helps in early game, distributing low-tier Dinalar, Zepatek and Warp Dancer sandies to Reaper dogs, helping with a known issue that in vanilla game, even if you want to play through Sandy, you are still forced to play with Cyberdeck until level 10 or so. From the mod folder, place the Common Sandevistan folder to R6 tweaks folder in your Cyberpunk 2077 installation directory, aka tweak XL mods folder. Most of vanilla scopes were straight up distraction from aiming itself, due to how many unneeded elements like grain, glitches and random tints there were in vanilla game, down to the point a few scope weapons were close to unusable, as your vision through them was actually worse than without. The Prim Scopes mod removes all the overcluttering elements on scopes while keeping everything needed for them to help shooting and still look nice. Download main file and additional file for smart weapons, and from their folders, place Prim Scopes Archive and Prim Scopes Smart Archive files to Archive PC mod folder in your Cyberpunk 2077 installation directory, aka Archive Mods folder. The ricochet mechanic was pretty mediocre, simply because the angles at which ricochet happens were pretty limited, and so in most of cases the ricochet-based combat was simply shooting right under your feet, so bullets would ricochet to enemy in front of you for some extra damage and that's it. Ricochet Redux loosens the angles at which ricochet snap to valid targets, so you can more reliably use them in different situations. It also provides extra nice options like ricochet for silenced weapons, new ricochet related weapon mod, plus all that is configurable via in-game menu. Place archive and bin folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Actually, Smart Weapons mod provides better smart weapons target tracking, allowing improved priority queue in terms of body parts hit, and can be customized into, let's say, only allowing heads or other weak spots as targets to lock on, and is also fully configurable via mod menu. Place Smart Aim for the Head folder to bin x64 plugins Cyber Engine Tweaks mods, aka Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. Silent silences and throwing knives improves the most ridiculous stealth gameplay mechanic, namely how an entire enemy group magically and instantly knows your precise location as soon as you fail to kill any enemy in a single hit, even if you fire from a silent weapon from a huge distance and in complete darkness. The scene is, at hard and very hard difficulties, many rare and elite enemies are simply not possible to one-shot, even with a maxed out stealth build, where you are simply forced to avoid stealth attacks while actually playing a stealth build, which has no sense. The mod provides configurable solution to this. The main change is savage shots and throwing knives do not instantly trigger combat now, but instead there is now a sort of detection debuff applied to player with every hit, after which the enemy is still alive. There are also additional toggleable and configurable options like the increased chance of being detected on every next hit, number of hits before guaranteed detection and such. You can configure all that as easy or as hard you want to be, where TLDR is that enemies still can detect you, but it will take them time and efforts doing so. Place Archive, Bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Weapon Tweaks and Balance is a vanilla-friendly overhaul to damage, fire rate and magazine sizes of nearly every weapon in the game to address some imbalances and handling issues by improving weapons that were previously way too bad or balancing out some pretty broken ones, providing more weapon damage realism without straying too much from developers' vision. Mod also has optional files for melee weapons and NPCs weapons for better balance, and it's recommended to grab all three files. From every of them, place the VTAB folder into TweakXL mods folder. Now we are going to expand the game arsenal with 16 brand new weapons and 32 cyberware pieces with unique effects, custom icons, description, immersive in-game integration and sometimes even with own unique visual effects, with just 3 mods. First one is Extra Iconics mod that adds new weapons of most of known types based on vanilla weapons, but with unique effects and appearance. Plasma shotgun with only single slow bullet, but devastating attack and total armor penetration. Pistols and rifles that act as 2 weapons in one with switchable fire modes. A pistol with high stopping power in regular firing mode or weaker shots with poisonous AoE in secondary one. A revolver that fires homing smart rounds when aiming or straightforward but explosive rounds from hipfire. A rifle that shreds enemy resistance with autofire or fires explosive rounds with extra burning damage in semi-auto. Unique elemental katana that cannot block but instead ignores any armor and inflicts 3 damage types at once, an EMP machine gun, quick hack uploading sniper rifle and some others for any build and playstyle. At the mod page, download the main file, place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now, this mod requires one more extra supporting mod for the weapon's fire modes changes. Download Trigger Mod Control main file as well as Press T optional file. Place the Archive and R6 and then respectively R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder and approve the overwriting when asked. Raito Labs Custom Cyberware adds 9 new cyberware pieces, each one with own unique mechanics. From a more simplistic chrome, like a supporting cyberware acting as a capacity booster, or a hard cyberware to boost your stamina on multiple levels, up to dynamic active chrome like unique Sandivistan that eats your health when active, but turns you basically into a literal vengeful ghost. And these new Sandys even have custom activation visuals, by the way. Now one extra step is needed here. At the mod files tab, click on the Archive button below and download exactly the specified version 4.6.4. This is a recommended one as the latest version of the mod does not support so-called all-in-one installation, so you will have to download 9 more mods separately. While the recommended version here is not broken or anything like that, it works just fine and has the same number of cyberware as well. Place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Raven Micro Cybernetics Gemini 2 Full Body Conversion is a huge cyberware pack that adds 23 chrome pieces in one fell swoop. Let me describe this one briefly, because to make a more or less complete mod review, it would took me another separate video. It's not even the numbers what makes this mod so great, but a truly unique idea behind it. Not only each Cyberware piece has truly unique bonuses on its own, as well as custom icons and honestly so well made, lore-friendly descriptions that every piece of Chrome feels like it's a native part of the game. But there is also a unique additional interlink mechanic, meaning that every Gemini Cyberware becomes stronger the more Gemini Cyberware pieces you have installed. On top of that, there is also additional Cyberware set bonus when you have installed certain Chrome of a specific archetype together. Honestly, this mod is probably the best in its kind in entire history of Cyberpunk 2077 modding stage. Download the main file and place archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now to abilities and perks. I'm starting this section with absolutely mind-blowing mod of an impact not previously seen. Stealth Runner is a major expansion for pretty overpowered but also pretty dull playstyle in Cyberpunk 2077, the Stealth. Inspired by games like Deus Ex and Dishonored, it adds brand new independent perk tree, unique items and achievements, but probably most importantly, it binds them all together with the stealth gameplay progression, introducing new objectives for nearly every mission, from main quests down to smallest gigs. These objectives are Ghost, Shadow, Pacifist, No Touch and Hero, which imply that you should finish a mission under a certain set of conditions. From first to last one, this means next. You should complete a mission either without enemies noticing you or even becoming alerted, Ghost and Shadow, without directly killing people, Pacifist, without attacking enemies in any direct way, Control and covered quick hacks are still allowed. And Hero is for people in danger events, where you should eliminate the gangoons but save the person. Every time you are successful in any of these objectives, you can do all of them at the same time, by the way. Progression system recognizes that and rewards you with XP and street cred. As you go further and further on, with more objectives getting completed, you will open new Stealth Runner perks, and even a new weapon recipes and the Cyberware to buy from Reaper Dogs. There are 11 perks in total, and they vary from something simple, like furtherly improving your sneaky stats, up to some voodoo stuff like being able to choke multiple enemies at once, emit projective barrier, or even unlocking a brand new mechanics like pickpocket. On top of that, the mod provides an extensive configuration menu, so we can configure progression speed, perk strengths, rewards and basically everything in the mod up to your likings. Stealth Runner, without exaggeration, brings a new life to stealth and will open many new ways to go throughout the game. Download the mod, unzip the archive and place archive bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. While CDPR completely reworked perk system from scratch in game version 2.0, it still remains pretty badly balanced in many parts. Prim perk tweaks is an overhaul to existing vanilla perks that makes simple but effective balance tweaks for currently 49 perks. These changes are mostly, but not exclusively, minor buffs to improve some of the perks that were previously pretty arguably worth it to take, and improve some others to help certain character builds to fall back less on very hard difficulty and when playing with various enemy and combat mods. Just for example, if you ever thought that parkour perk does absolutely nothing, but was never quite able to actually statistically confirm that, yes, you was completely right. If to check this in the game's code, vanilla perk increases climbing and vaulting speed by a measly 10%. Cini's 10% boost would be okay for something like move speed in general, but vaulting and climbing animations are pretty short actions that in some cases take less than a second even without a perk, so just 10% cut was not affecting animation in any notable way to make a difference in gameplay, especially in combat. With the prim perk tweaks, this perk provides actually useful bonus and makes these animations notably faster, but still realistic and bug-free. This mod is an install and forget upgrade to many perks without a need to install many different mods together. Download the mod, unzip the archive, go inside Prim Perk Tweaks folder, then the default one, and from it place Prim Perk Tweaks folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Agent Tweaks mods folder as shown on the image now. And now 4 more smaller mods: Enhanced Edge Runner, Renaissance Punk, Perk Scaling, Internal Clock Perk Rework, and Sensible Time Bomb. I will not be stopping at each one specifically, but each of these perks now is much more effective and just logical, while Enhanced Edge Runner also has a configuration menu. Now the installation: Enhanced Edge Runner, place Archive, Bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. The Renaissance Punk one, place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Internal Clock Perk Rework, place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. And the Sensible Time Bomb, place Sensible Bomb folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Tweak XL mods folder as shown on the image. Nicely done! Life Pass bonuses and Gang Corp traits is a tribute to what factions in a true RPG should be like. The mod overhauls the damage system relative to every faction and some other elements to give gangs and corps more flavor and diversity through unique traits fitting the game lore. Sometimes it's just special traits, sometimes it's both stronger and weaker sides. For example, Tiger Claws members now gem large percentage of smart bullets. Animals are immune to poison due to crazy hormonal booster levels. 6 streak gangoons are resistant to power weapon damage, but at the same time receive increased damage from ricochets. Maelstrom are immune to bleeding due to mostly chrome bodies, and Arasaka, as a corporation that represents unmatched net-running technologies, are immune to ultimate quick hacks and have notably higher quick hacking RAM cost and upload speed. Additionally, your Life Pass choice now also affects the gameplay, giving buffs and debuffs when fighting certain gangs and corps depending on how familiar you are with those as per your Life Pass lore. But the best part of this mod is how configurable it is. It provides literally the biggest mod configuration menu ever, where you can configure several dozens of various parameters for each faction in the game. Do you find it that complete ultimate quick hack immunity is way too overpowered? Just disable it. 80% smart gunsmithing is way too much against Tiger Claws? Reduce that. Or if you are a hardcore gameplay masochist like me, you can also make it harder. As you can see in my videos shown here, enemies have more various resistances that this mod gives by default. Configure the mod to be as easy or as hard as you like. Place Bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder.
And now, I as the corporation will crush you. It will be my pleasure! Survival favors the strong.
Enemies' tier system and diversity of their abilities is arguably the biggest downside of Cyberpunk 2077 combat. Have you noticed that most of elite enemies, in most of cases, are the very same normal enemies just with a bigger HP bar? This makes no sense, especially in a world of Cyberpunk, where your power tier is directly proportional to the number and quality of your chrome. The distinct sets of abilities are also pretty much non-existent between different factions. Life Pass bonuses and Gun Corp traits mod improves this issue, but only partially, because it adds only various resistances and not active abilities. Enemy tiers and enemies in different factions should differ by how chrome-packed they are, not by something dumb as just more health. That's a spongy artificial so-called difficulty that makes combat more repetitive and annoying, but not more challenging nor fun. The game actually has over 40 unique passive and active abilities, but you never meet most of these, then quite literally 2-3 times in entire game, and considering the game's sheer size, you will likely not even realize they do exist. Or let's talk about mini-bosses. Should I even say something here? Majority of organized crime mini-bosses were so weak that you can often shoot them down without even noticing any difference compared to regular gangoons. And most of cyber psychos are just a joke as soon as you reach level 15 or 20. Not to mention that you can literally choke them from behind even at level 1 without any stealth perks. The one enemy overhaul to rule them all, Prim Enemy Tweaks, will make you experience Cyberpunk 2077 all anew, making combat more exciting and rewarding. The mod affects most of rare and elite enemies in the game, as well as pretty much every boss and mini-boss, including those in Phantom Liberty DLC. It adds new abilities to strong enemies and improves enemy diversity both between different factions and between different enemy types and tiers in the same faction, making each type of strong enemy to have actually distinct set of abilities that fit the lore and their type, while boss and mini-boss fights now are notably more challenging and provide a greater feeling of achievement. At the same time, the mod keeps balance of power and does not add abilities like Sandevistan or Kerenzikov to everyone just for a flashy look, sticking with common sense and the vision that combat should be challenging, fun, but not annoying or artificially difficult. Prim Enemy Tweaks will completely revitalize the feeling of battle and make you enjoy fighting your way through the Night City in a brand new way. Download the mod, unzip the archive, go to Prim Enemy Tweaks folder and place Bean and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. The next two mods will improve and balance out enemy netrunners. Problem 1. While netrunners themselves now use much larger variety of hacks on you, generally up to 8 or so different hacks, the number of netrunner enemies themselves is still way too low. Sometimes you can go through 4 or 5 battles and never face a single netrunner. Random netrunners allows more enemies to be able to upload quick hacks to the player. What's even better, it has a configuration menu where you can set the percent of enemies given netrunning abilities for each faction separately, which is great as surely as per game lore, number of netrunners between, let's say, Arasaka and animals would be vastly different. Note, this setting does not affect all enemies, but only those of generic ranged archetype, which are in average around 30% of all enemies. This means if you set the value to, let's say, 20%, not every 5th enemy in total will gain extra netrunning abilities, but rather every 16th enemy. So I personally recommend to not set these values lower than 20% to begin with for any faction you want to have extra netrunners. Place R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Another issue introduced with 2.0 update is enemy tracing. CDPR added the so-called Tracing Eyes ability to the game, but mostly gave it to the weakest gangoons, which are not netrunners at all, which makes close to no sense because as per game lore, the tracing actually requires netrunning skills, not to mention a very specific hardware which random gongs simply cannot allow to buy. And even if we dismiss lore, this would be possibly okay if the numbers of those enemies with this ability would not be just abysmally excess, so you are actually getting tracked nearly instantly in pretty much every corner of every fight, often limiting stealthy builds to literally just sonic shock and direct takedowns, which is extremely annoying. With Trace Position Overhaul mod, random schmucks will not be equipped to trace your sci-fi magic, but encountering experts in the field will challenge you in new ways. For instance, the skilled netrunners can guard their group entire network, so you will have to hunt them down first, and so on. All mod features are toggleable in the menu. Place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now the gunfights. Between many hard-coded limitations combat has, these two are most notable and annoying. All enemies with any ranged weapons, when shooting, are forced to do two things. Make a little pause between the shots and intentionally miss every now and then after they land a hit on you. This was clearly made to balance the combat out against multiple enemies, but the practical implementation is just silly. This is most notable on enemies with smart weapons and automatic weapons like SMGs. Because with these kind of hard-coded rules, an enemy with SMG or an automatic rifle can straight up stop shooting in the middle of unloading a full clip, or just miss you even when shooting up close and personal to your face. Harder gunfights and no shooting delay remove these two limitations and also allow to configure the exact values to make it from just a bit more realistic than in vanilla down to straight up hardcore, where enemies shoot as precisely as V does. From the mod folders, place harder gunfights and no shooting delay folders respectively to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder, the same installation way for both mods. The last but not least important and pretty much essential mod for every walkthrough is damage scaling and balance. This mod allows to configure several dozens parameters of damage that you inflict to enemies and also enemies inflict to you. It may sound simple and kinda inconsequential, but practically with how many things you can configure, this mod provides a solid way to perfectly balance out game difficulty up to your personal taste for every playstyle, mod setup, character build and at every game stage. Place bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now let's tune up your vehicles to improve driving, cosmetics and add a way to immersively buy dozens of brand new cars and bikes. Cyber Vehicle Overhaul is an incredible drive booster that improves top speed, gearing, power, handling and brakes of every single vehicle in the game. More engine power, unlock maximum speed while also proving better drifting and general control at the same time. CVO turns your night city driving into something closer to early game trailers by injecting high octane into your every vehicle. Download the mod, unzip the archive and from its folder place Cyber Vehicle Overhaul folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. Another one here is a tiny mod which has just a single line of code in it, but this change also actually notably contributes to better vehicle handling during turns and drifts. Download the Baby Driver 2.0 mod and place Engine folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Glowing neon rims for bikes once was a community-made mod and since some time back became integrated into the base game by developers. But what if you could be able to not just have a predetermined rim color, but to pick any color you prefer for each of your bikes yourself? With the mod installed, you can pick any color from RGB palette for your bike rims, and even pick different colors for each wheel separately, as well as saving chosen colors as presets and switch between them anytime, using in-game menu provided by Cyber Engine Tweaks. Place Neon Rims Color Control folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. As a little but nice complementary addition to this mod, improved neon rim controls allows to turn neon rims on when you mount and or dismount a bike, or toggle the neon rims on and off while not sitting on a bike at all, automatically or by tapping a hotkey. Download exactly the mod version shown on the screenshot now and place DVN Toggle Neon Rims folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. The base game has a few dozens of different cars and bikes to unlock, but with something as individual as car and bike aesthetics, there is never enough of them to have, because of everyone's preferences are different. There are hundreds of brand new vehicles added by the mods, from futuristic vehicles that fit into the cyberpunk aesthetics to classic cars from the middle of 20th century, many with own custom design, gearboxes and tuning features, so it would require a separate video on this topic. So here I will just tell you about Virtual Car Dealer mod, an in-game add-on that allows to buy mod-added cars through Immersive Store at V's computer. Download the mod archive and place archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. After that, download any custom vehicle mod, install it and you will be able to buy it through Virtual Car Dealer interface in the game. As I just mentioned, there are simply way too many amazing vehicles mods available, so I will just leave a few links in the mod list document. Those I personally love and use. In about 95% of cases, custom vehicle mods have archive and R6 folders, and sometimes, but rarely, also bin folder that should be placed to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. That's it. Now a pretty important pack of mods that improve the general immersion and aesthetics of the game, or rebalance gameplay, but without affecting combat directly, furtherly shaping more believable and joyful gameplay all around. Immersive Reapers mod provides anime with Reaper Dogs visits, and for Week there is even more complex animation taken and refurbished from the prologue scene, but now applicable to every visit. A short, simple set of animations, but greatly contributing to immersion. Download the mod and from its folder place the Immersive Reapers Archive and Immersive Reapers Archive XL files to Cyberpunk 2077 Archive Mods folder, as shown on the screenshots now. Additionally, download Immersive Week mod and place Immersive Week.archive file to Cyberpunk 2077 Archive Mods folder. Now to add animated consumption for food and drinks in bars. This mechanic was partially integrated into the base game, but mods still do this a bit better, plus the integrated game features do not cover Dogtown bartenders for instance, while the mod does. Download Immersive Food Vendors mod and place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Lastly, download Immersive Bartenders Dogtown mod and place Immersive Bartender Dogtown.archive file to Cyberpunk 2077 Archive Mods folder. Equipment X is a powerful transmog system that adds nearly 40 different gear slots that you can combine and rearrange to build the most unique style for your V. It supports both vanilla and mod-added items and offers limitless abilities for character appearance customization. You can also save different gear combinations as presets and switch between them anytime, anywhere, including the photo mode. Place Archive and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. There are almost 250 so-called hidden gems scattered around the world of Cyberpunk 2077, small interesting secrets and encounters with sometimes short info shards to find during them. Missing Persons fixes hidden gems is a brilliant idea that makes hidden gems easier to find, but also way more rewarding and immersive to do so, turning them all into a very short gigs provided by fixers, with additional informations on them, fixers' commentaries in a lore-friendly manner, and of course XP, street cred and money reward. Download both main mod and Phantom Liberty add-on, and from both of them place bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Sing Dose More Drugs adds 15 brand new drugs to the game, along with immersive toxicity effect and cyberware to handle it. Each drug has own unique effect and differs in how strong it is, and respectively how toxic it is as well. You'll find a booster for literally every character build and playstyle possible. You can buy the drugs from various vendors around the game world and detoxify cyberware from every Reaper dog. Variety of badass effects to vaporize your enemies, seamless integration and configuration menu to balance the effects to your likings. What could be better? Place Archive, Bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Wouldn't it be nice to have more such little chaotic background encounters to happen? The game has just a few of gang fights encounters in entire game, so rarely that you basically forget they existed at all. Night City Alive mod makes the world around you more believable. The gang members are now actually driving through the city. They can pick up a fight with other gangs or start attacking NCPD officers. On top of that, civilians will act more aware of what's happening around, and bikes are now part of the city traffic. Download one of the mod versions, standard one is recommended or low if you have a weak rig. High is not recommended even if you have a monster PC, as in this version the gang activity becomes just way too chaotic. Place Archive and Mods folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now one extra step is required. You need to install Red mod, a free DLC from CDPR that's rarely needed for some mods to work. At the linked Red mod page, click on your game version icon as shown on the screenshot now. and simply add the DLC to your game library. Now launch the game through a launcher such as Steam or GOG and make sure Enable Mods option is checked out as shown now. Don't worry, you need to perform this operation only once when you install a new red mode base mod, not every time. Simple XP multiplier is one of essential mods to tweak in-game progression speed. The default speed at which you level up and gain street cred is just way too high. It can be somewhat okay if you are going only through the main quests and nothing else, but otherwise you will reach max level and street cred just way too fast, before you finish even like 40% of the game content. And so, going through the rest of the game with already max level and street cred, which takes away a major part of progression feeling. If you are aiming to play throughout most of the game, I recommend to set XP multiplier to 0.6, street cred to 0.3. Don't worry, it's actually balanced. Street cred gain in vanilla game is simply ridiculously high, so much it doesn't make any sense. And skills multiplier to 0.8. Place simple XP multiplier folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. Money gain in the game is also horrendously inflated. It's good to be rich of course, but how much money you gain by default is just disbalanced. Around level 35 or so, you will have so much money that you can basically buy every implant needed and not needed, every apartment and every vehicle available, and still have millions at your disposal, simply nowhere to spend at. Economic Tweaks and Balance stands for its name and makes simple but effective changes to various prices and other economic parameters, turning money into actually valuable resource once again, and gigs important to do. Place Economy Tweaks and Balance folder to Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Engine Tweaks mods folder. And now the final section, Quality of Life mods, which improve interface and some other player abilities to interact with the game in different aspects but with a single goal, to make your gameplay generally less annoying, more comfortable and to save your time all around. Do you see it, or rather, you should not see something? Precisely the hellishly annoying number of excess interface elements all around where you don't actually need them. All gone, but are still fully ready to appear anytime you need them, and in situations you actually need them. Limited HUD allows to hide different HUD widgets by default and show them only on certain conditions. It adds in-game widget toggle hotkeys to hide and show entire interface or parts of it in a single tap, and a bunch of optional files to tweak different HUD elements. Mod menu allows to make pinpoint configuration for pretty much every single HUD element in the game up to your own taste. Download both main and optional files. From the main file folder, place archive and R6 folders, and from the optional file folder, the R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Cyberpunk 2077 has humongous number of lore records and items. Find X and Stash and Backpack Search ease the burden of navigating through those by adding search function for backpack, stash, codex, shards, quests and messages. Download the main file from Find X and both main files from Stash and Backpack Search. And from all three, place R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Custom Quick Slots mod expands vanilla quick slots from just 3 up to, should you want that much, 20 quick slots. But not just that, it also expands what you can assign to these quick slots, including support for mod added items, such as SynDose mod that you have installed before, fully configurable with in-game menu and supporting both keyboard, mouse and controllers. Place bin and R6 folders to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. In-world navigation is an optional mod here, but it can be pretty much essential for those who struggle with navigating themselves in the Night City. Displays in-world holographic arrows for quest and point of interest navigation, mirroring the dots in a minimap, plus supports some configuration through mod settings. Place in-world navigation to Red for Ext mod folders, which is in Red for Ext plugins as shown now. Keyboard and mouse controls overhaul is a mod you never knew you need before you try it. Cyberpunk 2077 has really weird controls mapping, like F for primary interactions and so on. While you absolutely can get used to this, it's still just not comfortable to say at least. E for primary action, Control for sneaking and so on, same as it in all games nowadays. Download the Redscript mod version and place R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Now launch the game, go to Settings, Key Bindings and click on Defaults. Done. Stay hydrated, stay nourished, stay healthy is a time-saving mod that allows to configure exact set of conditions when food, drinks and all kind of boosters are being consumed automatically, saving you those hundreds times of opening the inventory or assigning extra quick slots. In-game menu allows to change the settings anytime. Place R6 folder to Cyberpunk 2077 root folder. Why can't you scan while sprinting? Seriously, there is just not a single reason for that, and game automatically stops your sprinting when you attempt a scan. Not anymore. Place enable sprinting while scanning.res file to Cyberpunk 2077 scripts folder as shown now. If it's not your first time playing this game, you most likely will be bored of at least some of the needlessly long, unskippable scenes, like the first brain dance tutorial and some others. Don't get me wrong, Cyberpunk 2077 cutscenes are freaking awesome, but going through them again and again and again, spending hours on just that in your every next walkthrough, it would be nice to at least have a choice to skip them. Sadly, there is no such feature in the game up to this day, but with the Skip Unskippable Events mod, you can, well, not technically skip those, but simply assign a hotkey in CyberEngine menu and then speed up time as fast as you want to save yourself some time for actual gameplay. Place Skip Anything with Time Acceleration folder to Cyberpunk 2077 CyberEngine mods folder. That's it, chum, and you made a great job following this tutorial. All that's left is to adjust some of the mod settings for your personal preference and start your journey in Night City with drastically improved gameplay. And trust me, there will be many moments you will be actually positively shocked by the scale of these improvements. Remember that if you will need to refresh some of the instructions or get even more mods, there is a complete modding guide on my website linked down below. This guide features nearly 1,500 mods in total, offering many more nice gameplay improvements as well as graphic improvements, improved models, textures, lighting and reshade presets, which I did not cover in this exact video simply because it's pretty subjective set of choices and everyone's PC are different in specs, so it's better to build graphics improvement yourself. The guide also features modules, a set of mod lists structurally akin to this one but of a different size and with different modding goals. Check those out as well. Thanks for watching, fellas, and see you in the next video. And if you want to support this Ukrainian guy and his work and help me to make it through the wartime, you can support me at my Patreon page linked down below as well. Stay tuned, stay safe and stay happy. Sinitar here, signing out.